So anyway, welcome. This is Wondrous Roots, your health from the ground up. My name is Rebecca Montrone. Today is December 14th, 2024. Not too many more programs left in this calendar year of 2024. We'll soon be into 2025, and that's super exciting. So what do I want to say? Yes, I am a holistic nutritionist with a degree in holistic nutrition. I'm also an herbalist, so we have a lot of things here. Wondrous Roots is a practice where I see people in consultation for their health issues. It's also a formulary, what do I say, an herbal shop where we make a lot of my personal formulas. I have a lot of good help doing that. And we also have an online store and an online website, informational website. And our number here is 603-439-2603. You can also go to either shopwondrousroots.com or wondrousroots.org and go to contact us and type me anything you want to. It comes to my personal email, and I will get back to you. I just did today. Somebody emailed me, said that they had seen my video on YouTube about enzymes and wondered about them for a very bad disc problem he has in his back. And I was able to talk to him not only about the enzymes, which would have been serrapeptase, but also PEA, which I don't think he did know about. So if you have something you want to get in touch with me about, feel free, do that. I just spilled my bubbly water. And well, I didn't spill it, I just splashed it. And I will get back to you. Our business hours are 9:30 to 5, Monday through Friday here at the shop. And I also see people all over the place in the country and even some out of the country this way via teleconference. So just go ahead and get in touch with me. Again, 603-439-2603. I think that's it for intro. Okay, so today what I want to talk about is, to participate, you can, looks like there's somebody in the chat already. Yeah, just saying, yeah, it's cold. And then you can type in the chat, you can raise your hand and I'll call on you and you can talk. You can type in the Q&A. I think that's it, all I need to say. So what happened was a few weeks ago, everybody started, not everybody, but I got a lot of people emailing me, calling me about using DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide. Because Dr. Joseph Mercola, who's one of our reliable voices out there in the world of natural health, had published something about DMSO. And I know DMSO, and I have DMSO. I always have it in the shop, and I use it in some of my formulations, but I've never recommended anybody take it by mouth. And I've never recommended anybody like rub it on their skin. And so now this was all the thing that people were asking me about for pain, for inflammation, for all kinds of things, for the brain, for if you've had a stroke, for all kinds of things. So I'm like, okay, so the reason I've not recommended it by mouth is because DMSO is where we get MSM, methylsulfonylmethane. And as any of you who have followed me for any period of time at all or who work with me know, I'm a big fan of MSM. And I use MSM powder. I take a big heaping tablespoon of it every day. And MSM has many of the health properties DMSO does, without the concern and the precautions for using DMSO itself. And it is safe to use, but you do have to know how to use it. So today, I'm hoping to shed some light on what is DMSO, where does it come from, what's its background, and how can we use it safely. I was, again, fielding questions for people, and then I had a woman call me a couple of weeks ago asking me where she could get it and everything. So I finally buckled in and I said, okay, that's it. I will get it in and I will bottle it, repackage it for sale, so people can use it orally or topically. Mine, I am going to use in a diluted form. I'm going to use the 99.99995 purity farmer grade from DMS store, but I will dilute it to the 70%. So it's already diluted to that point when you use it orally, and then you're going to also dilute it again. So I'll get into all of that, but I will now, beginning this week, have it available so that people can purchase it here. And anyway, I'm going to make I've used it already in a couple of products, but I'm also going to, I've got 3 more really on the conveyor belt that will be coming right up. So I'm going to clear my throat. So hang on. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Now, what's really wonderful and marvelous in my mind, at least for my convenience, is that I used to put together a much more elaborate newsletter about these topics. And now, instead of doing that, I'm adding a page to my website, which becomes much more durable, much more long lasting, much more easier to find. I have probably, I don't know, thousands of newsletters from over the years when I first started doing my radio program back in 2015. But they're not easy to put your hand on again. So this way, it makes it more durable. It makes it easier. It makes it great for me when people ask me a question. I can go to my various pages. I can find the article I want for them. I can just zap it over as a internet link. And so I'm going to share my screen now. Pull up my screen first. Well, maybe I'll share my screen first and then do that, so I can show you how you can do it if you want to do it later, if you're not familiar. Let's see. Share. Okay. And then my chat over here, get you guys there. My participants, so I can see who you are, who are with me live in the classroom today. Okay, great. And all right, so we're sharing the screen. You can see there my whatever. Yes, you can see the kind of things I buy because of what's flashing up there. But we want to go to wondrousroots.org. And then when you're at wondrousroots.org, you go to the research files and you can see I'm constantly adding to them. Recently did the COVID-19 page, which was a long time coming. I'll just show you that for a second. A lot of stuff there. I did that originally to talk about the use of nicotine, transdermal nicotine patches, 7 milligrams times 7 days to restore the problems, the health problems that go, that a lot of people suffer from long haul COVID. Very, very interesting. You can see I did the webinar there, but lots of info there. And you, you just click on things and you can see, here we have the cardiovascular effects of the BNT162B2 mRNA COVID vaccine in adolescents, all kinds of information there. But now we're going to go to DMSO. And then later today, once I have this video up on YouTube, that will appear here, whatever. But I talk about this and I'm going to just read through this because it sort of sets the whole stage. So DMSO has recently come to new robust attention in the world of natural medicine. I've used DMSO regularly as part of topical formulas over the years to increase absorption of other ingredients and for its anti-inflammatory properties, but I have never recommended it be taken internally, like I just said. Thanks to Dr. Joseph Mercola, bringing DMSO to the forefront over the last month or so. At the time of this writing, several clients have asked me about it. Do you supply it? How do I take it? How can I use it topically for my aches and pains? Another reason I haven't been interested in DMSO beyond its use is, again, because of MSM, and you can see my MSM page if you just do that. Okay. However, I have learned that DMSO can bring power beyond MSM, not that it would replace MSM, And so I am now jumping on board when it comes to using DMSO internally and providing proper instruction for using it that way and topically. For example, DMSO must be applied to freshly cleansed skin. It will bring whatever is on the skin deep into the tissues of the body. That means any chemicals, perfumes, lotions, cosmetics, right? So you don't, I don't know, say rub DMSO into your achy neck muscles and then spritz with your favorite perfume. That's just going to drive your perfume straight into the depths of the body. This is another reason I haven't really done much with it, done much with DMSO, except value it completely for certain topical formulas because it makes them so much better. Okay, so this is the reason I use it in my release formula for Dupuytren's contracture. If anybody knows Dupuytren's is when some people get these tight fibrous strings that form in the palm of the hand and gradually bring the fingers in like that, and usually is corrected with surgery. I use serapeptase internally to help with that. Iodine, vitamin E is super important in high doses for Dupuytren's, but I made a formula just on a whim, hoping it would work for that and never really dreaming that it would. It's a very difficult condition and it has worked for everybody who's tried it, and it works fast. So if that's a problem that you have, or you know somebody who does, that's my release topical formula for Dupuytren's right there. You can purchase that. And then I also use it in Wondrous Goop, which is one of my, you guys know, many of you know that I make an eggplant salve to remove actinic keratoses, precancerous lesions, even basal and squamous cell cancers from the skin. But I make one that's even stronger with other things in it called Wondrous Goop. And that also has some DMSO in it. It formerly had MSM, and the updated version has DMSO more recently. But again, that's a very effective formula. So that's just another one. I also have formulated like last year, but have yet, and got all the ingredients in, but have yet to make it. But I have a really kick butt formula coming up for varicose veins and spider veins. And it's DMSO will be involved in that. DMSO itself has been promoted for its use topically for those problem veins. So that's really going to be fun. Then a lot of you know that who are with me regularly, and she's not with me today. I know that right around this time she gets an acupuncture treatment, but Kathy, Dr. Kathy, who's usually on with us on Saturdays, recently had a stroke. And we've talked about that. And so she ended up with a one-sided paralysis. And one of the problems was a one-sided, well, of course, lack of use of the limbs, but then also the face that droops. And if you've known anybody or you personally have ever had Bell's palsy, similar kind of thing where you get that nerve sort of thing that happens. So this was super exciting because my dad, the compound pharmacist George Wrench, my late father, made a thing for Bell's palsy that was B12 based, and it was a topical. So I kind of took that idea, and so I formulated a topical product for Kathy. So I use DMSO, vitamin B12, micronized PEA, the palmitoyl ethanolamide, which is huge for neuropathy, R-lipoic acid, which is also indicated for neuropathy, P5P, which is the active coenzymated form of vitamin B6, magnesium chloride, and emu oil. And her facial droop is gone after just a couple of weeks of use. It has reversed. I mean, that is so cool. So it's really wonderful. So she's also using it for her arm and her leg in hopes that it will help carry that further as well. And so I would be using that as well for hoping that it would work for like trigeminal neuralgia, which is a horrible, painful nerve disorder in the face. My father suffered from that, and they call it the suicide condition because the pain is unrelenting and it is excruciating. So I'm hoping that it will be effective for that as well. So that's very exciting. So then just this past week, I had asked Dale to mix up for me. He has strained a new batch of my pain oil, my Wondrous pain oil, from which we get the Feel Good Labs commercial product, the all natural pain cream that I have, like in the blue box that a lot of you get. That was originally based on my pain oil cream and formulated with compound pharmacist Jean Gresh, and now in that mass market. But I'm going back now. I'm going to have made another cream from the base oil of my own again, to which I will be adding DMSO in the proper percentage for a muscular joint inflammation type pain. And then from there, I will be using that now as the base cream for the neuropathy cream. So it'll be even more kicked up beyond just the things for the vitamin B12, the PEA, the lipoic acid, the coenzymated B6, the magnesium chloride, et cetera. It will be bumped up using that cream with all of the herbs that are infused into that, the devil's claw, the skullcap, the boswellia, the yucca root, you name it, all of these anti-inflammatory herbs are infused into that oil, and so this will make it even more effective. So those are coming up. They're on the to-do list for this coming week. And again, I say that is a cream base. I'll add the above ingredients as I did for Kathy's Droop Goop. I called it just informally. It won't be called that. It'll be called like Wondrous Nerve Renew or something like that. For neuropathies of all kinds, blah 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 blah. And then Jean Gresh, I just mentioned him, compound pharmacist. He was the one who informed me about PEA. He mentioned it, sort of telling me about this neuropathy gel he was making and recommended for my daughter when she suffered a neuropathy due to an antibiotic she was prescribed for a bladder infection. And I've mentioned that before. But anyway, he instructed that the gel be rubbed along the spinal column for her situation, which was various neuropathies appearing at different times at different parts in the body. And so I would say for that type of a neuropathy, this formulation could be used again along the spinal column to get into the central nervous system, cerebral spinal fluid accessing through the adrenal glands, believe it or not. I don't have to get into all the pathways, but then diffusing throughout the body. So very exciting. These are problems, these are big problems that are difficult to treat in the mainstream. And so we are constantly, people like me and people like Jean Gresh and other compound pharmacists, we're always looking for things that we can do to improve upon what is out there that people are prescribed. So anyway, let's kick in and let's learn everything DMSO. I'm sure it's not everything, but get a good background on it. So I say perhaps perplexing to see a photo of a paper mill featured on a health-related website, but here we have the source of DMSO, which is naturally sourced from wood. It was discovered as a byproduct of paper making. So anyway, dimethyl sulfoxide was first synthesized by a Russian chemist, Alexander Zaitsev, in 1866. There was very little interest in DMSO until the 1940s, when chemists started investigating its solvent properties. There was also considerable interest at this time in ways to use the waste material from products manufactured from trees. So that was good. Recycle, reuse, already going on back then. The industrial use of DMSO really began in the 1950s. DMSO came to the fore when the paper manufacturers required ways to utilize the byproducts of paper making. Crown Zellerbach, a major American paper manufacturing company, set up a research and development facility in Camas, Washington, to concentrate on ways to develop chemicals from tree pulp waste. DMS was made from craft black liquor, a sulfur alkylating agent from one of their paper mills. This was then purified by distillation and oxidized to make dimethyl sulfoxide, DMSO. The medicinal use of DMSO began when Stanley W. Jacob, MD, working for the Oregon Medical School, needed a way to preserve transplant organs from the formation of ice crystals. Dr. Jacob discovered that DMSO, with its antifreeze properties, could achieve this. And let me tell you this, when I'm working with DMSO and I'm adding it to other liquids, like when I was making the formula for Kathy, or when I'm making the formula release, you put it in a beaker in a measured, container, and then you add another liquid to it, and it heats up. It heats up like you put it, not as hot as if you put it on a flame, but yes, like you had it slowly heating on a flame. So there's definitely a chemical reaction there. So it's very interesting that it had this ability to keep things, you have transplant organs, they have to be transported, but they can't, form ice crystals on them. So that's really cool. Antifreeze properties. While working with DMSO, he found it had lots of other interesting properties. DMSO had the ability to pass through the skin and other cellular membranes of the body. It is this facility that enables DMSO to be used for transdermal drug delivery. So like for me, using it for the release formula, it wasn't just that I wanted its own anti-inflammatory properties to that area. It was really primarily because I want the other things I put in there, the iodine, which is huge, the vitamin E, which is huge, to get down into the tissues, not to sit on the top, but to penetrate deeply into those strings that are very, very leathery, and pulling the hand so that you can't close it after time. It happens to the feet in a disease, the similar disease process known as Lederhosen's disease, and even worse, to the penis in a disease called Peyronie's. But it's the same principle. It's the same things that are happening to those tissues. So anyway, it's used to help you get things deeper in where you want them to go. Okay. Applied topically to the skin, it caused a garlic-like odor on the breath. It also had anti-inflammatory and analgesic properties. I'm sourcing my raw material from the DMSO store. It's the DMSO store brand, which I am getting in myself, and then to make available in a solution, I will be repackaging it, but I'm purchasing it from them. I'm not distilling my own. I'm not doing any of that. I'm using a product I know is tried and true and tested for all of the qualifications it needs to have. And I'll get more into that in a little bit. But why is there like a resurgence now? Everybody's asking me about DMSO. Nobody was asking me about that before. I wasn't thinking about using DMSO internally with anybody, and never would have, I'm sure, if Mercola had not brought this brought this to light. But and I honestly wasn't that interested, except people asking me questions, and I feel I have an obligation to answer their questions. So I'm glad I did. That's how I found out about methylene blue, by the way. That's how I found out about indium. So I tell you all the time, I learned from you. So DMSO was met by big pharma and got the axe, like many things that are natural that can't be patented. And that's exactly the problem here. So this article was published way back in the Life Extension magazine in 2007, which seems really recent to me, but it's really not that recent. It seems super recent to me, but it's not that recent. The untapped healing potential of DMSO. And so I'm going to just go to that article and go through quite a bit of this. Stanley Jacob, MD, has long fought to make DMSO freely available. Despite evidence supporting the efficacy of DMSO in treating stroke, Alzheimer's disease, cancer, arthritis, and other inflammatory disorders, governmental agencies have chosen to deny tickle in my throat and a cough, so hang on. Americans' access into this remarkable non-patented therapy, scientifically reviewed by this dude in October of 2024, because this is all coming to the forefront again. But again, it was originally published in 2007. Let's see. Yeah. This inexpensive compound demonstrates potent anti-inflammatory and analgesic properties, has been shown to relieve painful musculoskeletal and urinary conditions, specifically that horrible condition, interstitial cystitis, which is a very big problem. When women have this problem, it's usually women, it can be very debilitating. And it is, I believe, the only thing the FDA has approved it for, its use for medicinally as a prescription. Uniformly, its widespread acceptance and use has been stymied by the FDA and their allies in the pharmaceutical industry. Hopefully that type of thing will be changing in the future if we get some non-partisan, conflict of interest people involved with the FDA, which as is a big goal of RFK Jr.'s influence, if he is approved for his cabinet position, nominated by Donald Trump for head of Health and Human Services. Also, I believe it's, I can't pronounce his name, but Bhattacharya, who was one of the authors of the Great Barrington Declaration back in COVID, who is supposed to be heading up the FDA, if I'm not wrong. I think that's his place. And then there's another really good person for the CDC. Anyway, some of these things might be changing. And of course, change takes a long time, especially when you're dealing with government, but the sooner the better. So what you need to know at a glance here, research on DMSOs, vast healing properties, dates back 50 plus years. It's only been approved to treat one uncommon condition, the interstitial cystitis. DMSO prevents oxidative stress and reduces swelling of the brain to improve its blood supply. Human brains treated with DMSO immediately after a head injury have reduced swelling within as little as 5 minutes. That's huge, right? Because they should be doing that in the hospital. If you have a head injury, you go in with a fractured skull or a concussion or a stroke or something like that. This should be something that they know how to do and do. Because time is of the essence when somebody has an injury like that. We talked about a lot of this. In the United States today, DMSO is approved to treat only one medical condition, interstitial cystitis, chronic inflammation of the bladder wall. Treating head trauma, Stanley Jacob again, a pioneering DMSO, conducted research in the 1960s. He's often called the father of DMSO in honor of his life's work in trying to bring this unique compound to the forefront of contemporary medicine. His resolve in the face of government and drug industry obstacles is legendary. A faculty member at the Oregon Health and Science University in Portland, Dr. Jacob maintains that DMSO can be an effective treatment for closed head trauma and holds promise for other conditions such as spinal cord injuries and embolic stroke. It's huge. This is huge. Closed head trauma is severe trauma from a blunt injury where the head hasn't been opened. It's this type of injury that could occur in a car accident, such as a severe concussion causing unconsciousness. With this type of injury, the brain swells against the hard bone of the skull, causing brain cells to die. It also diminishes blood supply and oxygenation and causes a major shift in electrolytes within the brain. To treat these conditions, DMSO is administered intravenously as soon as possible after the injury occurs. That's really, really cool. And we have a raised hand. Let me just see. Joe? You just have to unmute yourself. I'm supposed to be asking you to unmute.
Hi, Becky.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, yeah, I have neuropathy. Now, what you've been talking about is, do you have what would be the best one for me to order?
So it depends, like you have neuropathies. Do you have painful neuropathy? I know it's diabetic neuropathy.
I have diabetic neuropathy. Sometimes there's pain and then sometimes there's sensitivity in my calves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would try the one for the nerves, the nerve renew one.
What do you call it? Nerve what?
Well, it's going to be my cream that I formulated for Kathy, but now it's going to be altered a little bit using the base, but it would be the one, I'll have one that's for your aches and pains, your joints and your muscles and things like that. But then I'll have another one that is for the nerves, for helping to regenerate the nerves.
Okay, I'll just put down the nerve
Yeah,
cream and then you can take care of whatever it is.
right. Yeah. I still have yet to get these up and ready for sale, but I have to tell you also, I don't know, Joe, are you using the palmitoyl ethanolamide, the ultramicronized PEA I talked about a few weeks ago?
I'm not sure. No.
I don't think you are, but you should be. You're a person who should be. So
What was that?
it's called PEA, palmitoyl ethanolamide, and I did a program a few weeks ago on it, but it's huge for neuropathy and for diabetic neuropathy. And you're already using benfotiamine. So
Right.
you will definitely want to add into that
Well, I'm gonna put an order in for some stuff. Whatever else you think I need, put it in.
yeah, okay. That's a good
Okay?
idea. And then I'll explain it to you, but you're one who should definitely be using that for sure.
All right. Excellent. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
All right, thank you. Okay, so great. Yeah. Joe is usually with me and I think he would have picked up on that. I think there was a Saturday he missed. It might have been something he was doing with family or whatever, but yeah, so he missed that little bit of information, but you guys know when it comes to neuropathy, and that's why I do include palmitoyl ethanolamide in this topical thing that I'll be using. So anyway, so that we have that. Astonishingly, however, the Food and Drug Administration has not approved any new pharmacological agent of significance for the treatment of traumatic brain injury in more than 3 decades. With so much attention focused on the plight of severely injured soldiers returning home from war, Dr. Jacob is leading the charge to gain FDA approval of DMSO to treat this type of injury. He believes that DMSO would be more effective than some current therapies, such as removing parts of the brain to reduce swelling. So I'm not sure what's going on with that now. Again, this article was written in 2007. I don't know if things have changed. We're going to switch over to Dr. Mercola's piece in a minute, and he might be able to give us a little bit of an update on that. Accidental discovery, we talked about that. Early DMSO. So yeah, I think what we'll do is now head over to there's Stanley Jacob today, and Dr. Mercola's piece is really excellent. And again, he just did this. He talks about he kind of cracks me up because there's this new page on Substack called a Midwestern doctor, and he doesn't tell you his name, and it's clearly got to be Mercola because there's such overlap in what the Midwestern doctor talks about and the way he does things, the way he formats them. But anyway, there's a great page there. But we'll go to this one first, and then we'll take a peek at the other one. This is a really nice, Dr. Mercola always does a really good job with his material. And he does provide all of the things I was looking for here, because you really have to talk about how to use it. It can't just be like people might hear, oh, you can rub it on your skin. So they go to Amazon, which you can go to Amazon and get really good products. So I'm not saying that, but you might just buy a bottle of full strength DMSO and, hey, put it on your arm and start rubbing it in for your sore elbow. And that's not the way you do it. And you need to, you know what I mean? So it's important to have that. And he did a really good job with this paper. So we've talked about a lot of this stuff. I think that this is really a good place to hone in. At low and moderate levels, DMSO activates cellular stress responses that boost your resilience. However, at higher concentrations, or with prolonged exposure, it impairs cell growth and may even prove toxic. So again, think about methylene blue. When I first talked about methylene blue, you use the lower dose to achieve all of the great things you want it to achieve by donating missing electrons in the electron transport chain. But if you use a lot of methylene blue, you have the opposite effect. The methylene blue is now stealing electrons from the electron transport chain in what we call a hormetic effect. And that's having the opposite effect at a higher dose. So again, always wanting to use something like DMSO with knowledge and with caution. Just because a little is good doesn't mean a lot is better. Okay, so at low and moderate levels, DMSO activates cellular stress responses that boost your resilience. However, at higher concentrations or with prolonged exposure, it impairs cell growth and may even prove toxic. Too little DMSO doesn't trigger a response, but with too much can overwhelm the cell's defenses. The key lies in how DMSO interacts with cell membranes and energy production. Short-term exposure to moderate DMSO levels didn't significantly damage yeast cell membranes or reduce their metabolic activity, but it did trigger stress response genes, priming cells to better handle future threats, explaining some of DMSO's protective effects. So in that case, we might say helping, say you had a yeast infection or whatever, a candida yeast infection. It might not take care of the infection, but it might at a low dose help prime your cells to have a better defense against that in the future. Anyway, and here we go with mitochondria again. Okay, let's talk about that. The study found that DMSO's activated yeast cells' environmental stress response program at certain concentrations. The cellular alarm system, triggered by various mild stresses, prepares cells to better handle future potentially more severe challenges. It's a bit like how exercise stresses your body in the short term, but ultimately makes you stronger. This stress response activation helps explain why DMSO is helpful in cryopreservation, that's cold, or as a protective agent against radiation damage. So here they're talking more about when they're talking about that yeast thing. It's different than what I was saying. It's more like they were trying in the test in the laboratory to damage the yeast cell wall, right? But instead, yeah, or reduce their metabolic activity. Yeah, it was a good analogy, what I said. Okay, all right. The difference likely stems from how DMSO interacts with mitochondria, which is the same thing with methylene blue, your cell's power plants. Cells with highly active mitochondria are more vulnerable to factors that disrupt their delicate balance, including DMSO at higher doses. The compound may destabilize mitochondrial membranes, leading to an increased production of harmful reactive oxygen species. Again, exactly the methylene blue analogy really works here. So again, a little is good, too much is bad. But this is really cool. An ally in the fight against cancer. Studies reveal DMSO has another unexpected benefit, fighting cancer. Researchers investigated DMSO's impact on both leukemia cells, representing blood cancers. So blood cancers work differently in the body than solid tumor cancers, and epithelial cancer cells representing solid tumors. So you would say that kind of gives a good overview of the, both of those groups, categories of cancer. So another solid tumor cancer would be a pancreatic cancer or a breast cancer or a prostate cancer. Another blood cancer would be Hodgkin's lymphoma or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, that kind of thing. They found that DMSO significantly inhibited cell growth in all tested cancer cell lines, including bloody blah and booty blue, leukemia cells as well, doody-doo, liver cells, and blah, 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 breast cancer cells. And this inhibition was both dose and time dependent, with noticeable effects starting at concentrations as low as 2% DMSO. At 10% DMSO, growth inhibition reached up to 69% in some cell lines after 72 hours of exposure. This suggests DMSO could be used as a targeted therapy to slow down or stop cancer growth as a chemotherapeutic agent, if you will. The study but not just to kill the cancer, to stop cancer growth. The study didn't just stop at observing growth inhibition, it explored how DMSO affects cancer cells using a trypan blue assay, which distinguishes between live and dead cells. The researchers found that 5% DMSO increased cell death rates from 2% to 3% to 15% to 19% in leukemia cells after 48 hours. This indicates that DMSO isn't just slowing cancer cell division, it's actively killing these harmful cells. Under the microscope, DMSO-treated cancer cells showed significant changes in morphology. The cells shrank, their density decreased, and most importantly, their nuclei began to fragment. These nuclear fragments, visible as multiple dots within non-dividing cells, are a hallmark of apoptosis or programmed cell death. And so they could visibly see that happening. The higher the DMSO concentration, the more pronounced these effects became. Even the adherent epithelial cancer cells, which normally form a smooth monolayer in culture, began to detach and cluster when exposed to DMSO. These observations suggest that DMSO could be triggering the cancer cells' built-in self-destruct mechanisms. So we have other things that we use in the natural world that do that. Glutathione is one, melatonin is one. A lot of the herbs I use for herbal things for cancer are others. By disrupting, let's see this. Digging deeper into the molecular mechanisms, the researchers uncovered how DMSO sets off a cascade of events leading to cancer cell death. They found that DMSO significantly decreased levels of body and blue, crucial proteins that regulate cell division. The BLA complex, which plays a key role in dividing cells from one phase of the cell cycle to the next, was particularly affected. By disrupting the regulators, DMSO effectively puts the brakes on cancer cell proliferation. That's huge because, like Schallenberger, Dr. Frank Schallenberger, who uses high-dose melatonin in his cancer therapies, said, have your cancer, just don't let it grow. And so you want to shut off its ability to just keep multiplying. It's another big problem with cancers that are particularly aggressive, such as HER2 breast cancer or triple negative breast cancer, where you also have like a real increase in the epithelial growth factor. So the cells are multiplying. Not only are the cancer cells multiplying, but they're multiplying much faster than they normally should, or even cancer cells normally should. But perhaps most tellingly, DMSO triggered DNA fragmentation in the treated cancer cells. This is considered a definitive sign of apoptosis, cancer's cells having to turn the gun on themselves and kill themselves, as it represents the cell systemically destroying its own genetic material. Yes, turn the gun on yourself. The researchers confirmed this by detecting increased levels of activated caspase-3, an enzyme central to the execution of apoptosis. Anyway, so for cancer, you can see there's stuff to be said there. Would I right now know how to add that to my cancer? Because I do a lot of work with people with cancer. I have a very involved and very kick butt protocols that I put together for that. But would I know how to add that to? No, I don't. I don't know enough about that, how to dose it, how long. No, I don't. But that it is anti-cancer is very interesting. I do think it would be nice if doctors who treat cancer would take advantage of it. But again, and maybe they are, but I don't know that, and I doubt that. And again, you come down to the problem of patentability. Can we make a drug out of this that we can now charge a bunch of money for? Or do we just, this is like just a byproduct of what comes out of paper mills, right? It's very inexpensive. Now, Alzheimer's disease. I've done a lot of talking about Alzheimer's disease lately. The The study's findings point to DMSO's antioxidant properties as a mechanism for its beneficial effects. DMSO is well known as a powerful scavenger of hydroxyl free radicals, which contribute to oxidative stress, a factor in the development and progression of Alzheimer's disease. The researchers observed that DMSO treatment corrected abnormalities in the retina that are associated with oxidative stress. Now, what's really interesting is I've never, I guess it's my lack of knowledge, but for all I know about Alzheimer's disease, I've never associated it with vision impairment. But apparently that's true. I don't know that it ever impaired my mother's vision. I don't know. It's just not anything I've ever really seen in the literature, but it says here that they found that DMSO normalized the thickness of a particular layer in the retina. See, I think it would be really good for I can't say that, eye problems, right? Ophthalmologic problems. Thickness of a particular layer in the retina that becomes contracted, shrinks in the presence of oxidative stress. This correction suggests that DMSO is actively combating oxidative damage in the retinal tissue. Given that your retina is essentially an extension of your brain, these findings imply that DMSO could be providing similar protective effects throughout the central nervous system. Okay, so they're saying the retina is an extension of the brain, so we're going to extrapolate that into Alzheimer's. I would say, let's extrapolate that to people with retinopathies and problems like that. Don't worry, I'm not adding it to any of my MSM eye drops or anything. But think about it. I'm using MSM, which comes from DMSO, for those eye drops. However, one of my colleagues, who is an excellent holistically minded optometrist, tells me that what you put in your eyes doesn't reach the retina. So anyway, I'm just kind of thinking out loud. But that's sort of the principle of the DMSO, the MSM eye drop. Okay, anyway, given these findings, okay, this is particularly exciting because oxidative stress is believed to be one of the earliest events in the development of Alzheimer's, occurring even before the appearance of characteristic amyloid plaques and tau tangles. And if you followed me on many things I've talked about, especially that 4 1-hour webinars on outsmarting Alzheimer's, oxidative stress, damage to the mitochondria. I mean, blah, 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 blah. This is speaking my language, and it is something that plays a part in all degenerative disease processes, oxidative stress, which is why glutathione is so effective for so many things, because it is the big antioxidant in the body, as well as melatonin. Okay. Given these findings, there's potential for DMSO as an early intervention in Alzheimer's disease. Very interesting. The study focused on relatively young mice that were just beginning to show signs of visual impairment. The fact that DMSO was able to improve function at this early stage suggests it could be particularly valuable as a preventive measure or early treatment. Early intervention is crucial in Alzheimer's disease, as by the time cognitive symptoms become apparent, significant brain damage has often already occurred. Exactly, which is why, again, go back to my Alzheimer's page if you missed that and you want to see it. I have prevented and will forever be preventing Alzheimer's disease in myself, even though I should have full-blown Alzheimer's right now based on my family history and my genetics. It can be done, but you do this early. You don't wait until you have it and then hope to, yes, we did see exciting things that you can make a big difference in slowing down progression and even possibly reversing symptomatically, but you don't want to wait for then. You want to be doing things preventively, ahead of time, preemptively, of course. Early intervention. Okay, if DMSO can help protect against oxidative stress and maintain neuronal health from the earliest stages of the disease process, it could slow or even prevent the progression to full-blown Alzheimer's. Moreover, the safety profile of DMSO at low doses is well established, making it an attractive option for long-term use in at-risk individuals. So that would be fine, right? We get to the dosing thing and we say, take a half a teaspoon a day diluted in of a diluted solution, a 70-30 solution, which is what I'm going to be providing here for sale. And then take a little dose a day. More is not better. Take a little dose a day, like you do a little dose of methylene blue, like you know, that kind of way. Beyond the brain, while this study focused on visual function and retinal health, its implications reach far beyond Alzheimer's disease. The protective effects of DMSO observed in the retina extend to other tissues and organs throughout the body. Oxidative stress is implicated in a wide range of age-related conditions, like everything from cardiovascular disease to arthritis. Yes. Okay, for instance, now he goes, DMSO is closely related to another compound that could prevent joint health, MSM. So I talked about that. DMSO is a precursor to MSM. Both compounds share similar sulfur-based structures. Like DMSO, MSM has been shown to have significant anti-inflammatory effects, especially for joint pain, blah, 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 blah. So MSM, so I've talked a lot about MSM, and again, I have my MSM page, but again, DMSO is a precursor of, which again is why I've never thought, why do you need to do that? If you have MSM, you would just take MSM. But it looks like there's other things present with DMSO, maybe at that, what do we call that? We call that the most upstream. So you have DMSO is upstream, and then MSM is further downstream, but you've got some properties up here that are missing down here, is my guess. Neuroprotective, given that DMSO can be converted to MSM in your body, using DMSO might provide some of the joint health benefits associated with MSM, in addition to its neuroprotective effects and anti-inflammatory and pain-relieving properties. These actions make DMSO an intriguing compound for overall health maintenance as you age. And we're all aging. Whatever age you are, we are aging as the clock ticks. Now, I like this. DMSO's ability to inhibit and kill a range of bacteria, even at low concentrations, has also been known for decades. Researchers suggest tested DMSO against several bacterial strains, including Staph aureus, beta hemolytic streptococci, Corynebacterium, acnes, Escherichia E. coli, and Proteus species. They found a 20% concentration of DMSO was enough to inhibit the growth of all these bacteria. So even at relatively low concentrations, DMSO can effectively stop bacterial reproduction. So again, we come to the risks, dosing suggestions, and other considerations. So I'm just going to read through these. I think that this is really important. So for anybody who got this and just said, oh, wow, I'm just going to go off, and you got to really know what you're doing with this stuff. While DMSO shows promising benefits, it's important to approach its use with caution and awareness. As with any supplement or treatment, DMSO has side effects and contraindications that you need to be aware of. The most common side effect is a garlic-like taste or breath odor, which occurs because DMSO breaks down into dimethyl sulfide in your body. Some people may also experience skin irritation with DMSO when it's applied topically. Now, the one I got from DMSO store to use internally is filtered to really bring down that odor effect. So, and that's also if you want to use it topically, you can use it just diluted with water topically to rub in as well. So it shouldn't have that effect of giving you garlic breath. But here, DMSO, as I was saying, also increases the absorption of other substances through your skin, amplifying the effects of medications. This means you need to be careful about what comes into contact with your skin when using DMSO topically. It's also important to note that DMSO interacts with certain medications, including blood thinners and steroids. So if you were on prednisone, right? Or if you're on Coumadin, or if you're on another blood thinner, I'm not sure if it's just like Coumadin that works with INR, with the whole works in a certain way, or if it would also apply to Eliquis or heparin, that kind of thing. But blood thinner users, beware. Additionally, high concentrations may cause liver damage if used improperly. Again, really good for you if used in the proper amount, but now using too much, not okay. Pregnant women with those with liver disease should use caution when considering DMSO. As always, Dr. McCullough says, I recommend consulting with a holistic healthcare practitioner to determine if DMSO is right for you. He says proper product selection and dosing are key to getting the best results. A Midwestern doctor recommends, who I think he's talking about himself. I could be wrong. It could be another doctor, but the two obviously know each other. And for DMSO that has at least 99.9% purity, and if liquid is stored in glass, for topical dosing, start with 70% and dilute it 50% with water. So do you see like why I'm going to be packaging 70% solution? So it's already diluted to 70%. And then you dilute it further, 50%, the 70% dilution with 50% to 50% more water. Gradually work your way up to the full strength product as long as no skin irritation occurs. You can also progress to a 100% DMSO product if you have thick scars or are using it for a specific health condition. Now for oral dosage, a typical starting dose is 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of 70% or 100%. You may gradually increase the dose as long as you are tolerating it well. The maximum safe dosage is up for debate, but generally 3 teaspoons is considered the upper limit. Keep in mind that since DMSO has an unpleasant taste, you'll likely want to mix it with milk or juice when consuming it orally. Be sure to mix it well so that when you're mixing it with something so that the DMSO doesn't settle at the bottom. Remember, it's not a miracle cure, whatever. But, I think this helps sort of go back to, being able to answer my clients' questions and my customers, people who call me, people who have been asking me about this, feel like I can give them reliable information that I know they're gonna, if they're getting information from me, they're gonna know how to use it properly, if it's appropriate for them or it's not. And then I say DMSO products available soon at Wondrous Roots, and this doesn't include the ones that I'm already using DMSO in, but the DMSO solution will start again with the DMSO store brand pharma grade product, which you can easily find if you want to know what that's all about on Amazon. And then I will be diluting that with spring water and then putting that information very detailed on the bottle. The DMSO pain and inflammation cream for sore muscles, joints, that kind of thing. And then the DMSO Nerve Renew Cream, I think I'll call it something like that. And I'm formulating those. We're working on them. I'm working on them here this week, getting those up and running. And so I will add them to the page when they're available. And maybe I'll just put out a brief blurb to my email list, you guys, my subscribers, so that you're aware if you want to know. So anyway, that's my info on DMSO. I hope it's been helpful to you. Again, does the filtered DMSO lose any properties? Not that I'm aware of. No. Right. So no, it's kind of like when you fractionate something like aloe vera. Well, you can lose some things there, but I don't think so. I'll double check and make sure, but I would doubt it. I don't think certainly enough to make a difference so that it's not effective by any means, or they wouldn't even sell it that way. So in fact, yeah. So what else? I think that's it. If anybody has another question or another comment or anything, I don't see anything else. So I'm going to say goodbye. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful weekend. It's very holiday-ish in my mind. I'm really enjoying this season, and I hope you are too. Again, thanks for being with me, and I'll be back next week with something else. Not exactly sure. I've got a few things, topics on my mind. This was one of them last week when I was saying that, and I'm glad I got to this. Again, I was hurried because of an elderly woman who really is waiting on me to get my act together with DMSO so she can take advantage of it. And yes, Dale, I will see you soon, very soon. Okay, stop my share. Say goodbye. And again, have a wonderful weekend. Be well and stay warm.